A decorated military officer stops for coffee, but her uniform sparks more than curiosity. In minutes, respect turns into suspicion, and her authority means nothing. Off Route 29, just past Culpeper County, Virginia, she had finished a high-level debrief at a classified military site near D.C. Her uniform was sharp, boots shining, nameplate reflecting the sun. Brigadier General Monica Traylor looked drained, but far from broken. It was the exhaustion of someone who's carried more than most will ever know. She stepped out, stretched her spine, and breathed in the sticky air before reaching for her phone in the center console. A message from her aide flashed across the screen. She didn't check it. Coffee came first, then the road. Inside the nearly empty gas station, a teen cashier in a Bass Pro hoodie stood behind the counter while a man scratched off lottery tickets nearby. Monica grabbed a protein bar and water and walked to pay. The cashier stared, glancing from her arm patches to her badge. "You in the military or something?" he asked slowly. "I am," she replied, setting her items down. He paused, then rang them up. She paid in cash, nodded thanks, and turned but felt the atmosphere change. That dense stillness that needs no words. Outside again, near her SUV, she called her driver with an update. He was set to meet her further down the highway. She spoke low but clearly, still in full view of the gas station windows. As she ended the call and glanced at her watch, movement flickered at the edge of her sight point. 2 sheriff cruisers rushed in. One blocked her SUV, the other halted near the pumps. Doors flew open. Boots hit concrete, and the way they looked at her, hands hovering near weapons, said enough. The taller deputy, blonde with mirrored shades, stepped forward. "Ma'am, put down the phone. Hands where I can see them." She blinked, steady. "I'm Brigadier General Monica Traylor. I said hands where I can see them. Now." The second officer crept behind her, too close. She slowly set the phone on the hood, hands visible. "I'd like to know what's going on," she said, voice firm. "We got a call about someone matching your description. Loitering. Military gear. Seemed hostile." She stared, bewildered. "I've been here 6 minutes. Got a snack. Made a call. You carrying ID?" the second one asked, already reaching for cuffs. "Yes, you can look," but he grabbed her left wrist. "Sir, I'm a commissioned U.S. Army officer. This is a mistake. You're not above the law just 'cause you play dress-up," the first sneered. That's when she understood. This wasn't about a report, it was about control. He yanked her arms back and clamped the cuffs tight. Her muscles tensed, but she didn't resist. No flinching. No anger. Just breath. The parking lot was quieter now. The scratch-off man watched from the window. A woman paused mid-gas, phone recording. Still, the deputies didn't care. Her title meant nothing. Her calm meant nothing. Her presence, seen as a threat. But this wasn't over. Monica Traylor wasn't just another uniform. She had direct lines to people who didn't wait for approval. Cuffed in broad daylight, in full military dress. A woman who had led battalions, negotiated with foreign forces, and advised high-level officials, now stood between 2 local officers like a common suspect. No rights read. No real reason. Just suspicious. The shorter deputy, red-faced, tugged her toward the cruiser. She didn't fight it. Her face stayed steady. But inside, something had shifted. A quiet, building storm. "Where's your ID?" the tall one barked, rummaging through her SUV without consent. "In the side pocket of my bag. Clearly labeled." "You folks always got a story," he muttered, yanking the bag out. Monica kept her eyes ahead. The sweat on her back wasn't from heat, it was from restraint. Every instinct told her to push back, assert control. But she knew how fast situations can spiral. In the wrong hands, rank becomes a weapon. Silence was her shield. "You trying to scare people with this get-up?" the second one barked. "That's a real uniform. I've served this country for 26 years, she said. He smirked. "Yeah, and I'm the Queen of England." Now the stairs were mounting. 2 construction workers froze by their truck. A teen on a bike stopped, phone out. The woman at the pump was still recording, eyes wide. One officer muttered, "Mind your business." But the teen didn't budge. Monica inhaled through her nose, the cuff digging into her wrist. She'd endured worse. Bruised ribs from combat didn't compare to this. A fractured finger during lockdown at Kandahar hurt. But nothing prepared her for this. Because this felt personal. "I need to speak with my Pentagon liaison," she said clearly. The shorter deputy scoffed. "You're what?" "My Pentagon liaison. I have direct clearance." The taller one rolled his eyes. "Lady, we've heard every excuse. You think anyone's buying you some VIP while you're in cuffs? I suggest you verify the badge number on my ID," she said evenly, "and make that call before this spirals." "Is that a threat?" he snapped, stepping closer. "It's advice." Silence widened between them. Behind it, gas pumps hissed, feet shuffled. The kind of stillness packed with unease. But the phones kept rolling, red lights blinking in protest. The officer with her bag finally opened the ID case. "Colonel, no. Brigadier General Traylor," he muttered, voice tinged with confusion. The second officer yanked it from him, eyes darting. Back to her. Then to the badge again. "Doesn't change what the clerk reported," he said, gripping onto authority like a lifeline. Monica felt the shift. That fleeting instant when confidence wavered. But pride is a stubborn beast. And for some, owning a mistake costs more than consequences. The taller deputy muttered into his radio, words unclear. The younger one, still rattled, scanned the lot. More bystanders now. Still silent. Still watching. But that was enough. And Monica wasn't done. Not even close. Time didn't freeze, but it dragged. Brigadier General Monica Traylor stood tall, wrists bound. The weight of 2 decades of duty pressed to her chest. And none of it mattered. What mattered, apparently, was that a quiet town gas station clerk called the cops on a black woman in army fatigues. That's all it took. She scanned the swelling crowd. 6, maybe 7. 2 older men near the ice machine. A woman in scrubs on break. The kid on the bike, still filming, grip steady. None of them spoke. But their silence was loud. Then, from the edge of the lot, a voice rang out. "That lady's a general, man." Heads turned. A boy, maybe 17, backward cap, sharp stare. Held up his phone like a shield. The short officer snapped. "You need to stay out of this, son." "I'm not your son," the teen shot back. "And I can record. That's legal." The taller cop's gaze shifted from Monica to the boy. "Go back to whatever you were doing." "I was watching a soldier get cuffed for buying water." "Still doing it." His words landed like a slap. No one wanted to claim them. Monica didn't flinch. Didn't speak. But she etched the boy's face into memory. The tide was turning. People were alert. Someone had finally broken the silence. But the tension didn't ease. "You think that uniform makes you special?" The short cop asked, quieter now, voice edged. "You think your badge protects you everywhere?" She didn't respond. He didn't expect one. He leaned in, breath bitter. "Out here, I don't care what patch is on your shoulder. You act above us? You'll learn fast. You're not." She met his stare, voice even. "It's not about being above. It's about knowing the rules. And right now, you're breaking more than one." That hit. He stepped back, jaw tight. The other officer stood still, badge in hand. Now no longer just laminated plastic. It was evidence. A problem. He looked to his partner, unsure. Monica seized the pause. She tilted her wrist subtly, lighting her smartwatch. A few swift taps. Sharp. Quiet. Precise. Then, aloud. Authorization Bravo 3. Emergency Protocol. Connect Pentagon Liaison. The short cop spun. "What the hell are you doing?" "Making a phone call." The watch chimed. A calm voice followed. "Connecting secure line. Please wait." No gloating. No smile. Just focus. Just like another debrief. Another mission. Then, a voice-over speaker, firm and official. General Traylor, this is Lieutenant Colonel Brigham. Are you safe to speak? The deputies froze. She didn't blink. No. I've been unlawfully detained. By a rural Virginia county unit. Immediate support required. Copy. Stay where you are. Response en route. Then, silence. No yelling. No threats. Just facts, sharp as shellfire. The officers stayed still. Stunned. Processing. The quiet now hung even heavier. The taller one finally spoke, voice barely audible. What did you just do? I did what you wouldn't, she answered. I called someone who actually knows who I am. But knowing wouldn't be enough. Because in minutes, everyone else would know too. The atmosphere changed. Not quieter. Just denser, like the lot itself held its breath. The tall cop shifted uneasily. His boots suddenly alien. He glanced at his partner. Still clutching her military ID. Like it might explode. General Traylor stood between them. Hands bound, back straight, expression fixed. But the air around her had transformed. She was no longer waiting for permission. She was waiting for backup. You expecting someone? The shorter one's voice had lost its bite. Not fear yet, but the first tremor of it. Yes, she replied. And they're not coming to exchange pleasantries. He glanced at his partner again. We need to report this. The taller one hesitated. She could be bluffing. Bluffing doesn't get you a Pentagon line, Pete. Monica didn't budge. She didn't need to. They were already unraveling. Then, someone else spoke. The woman in scrubs, by the gas pump. She said she's a general. She showed her ID, added the teenager. I saw it. It said general. You cuffed a damn general, man. The shorter cop's voice cracked. I don't care who she is, she acted aggressive, and... I bought a bottle of water, Monica interrupted. Stood by my vehicle. Made a phone call, that's it. Truth had gravity now. 5, maybe 6 minutes passed. She watched a black Escalade glide past on the highway, then vanish behind the trees. Then another vehicle arrived. Not a government black SUV. A silver Ford F-150. Inside, the man on the other end of her watch. Lieutenant Colonel Garrett Brigham stepped out. Coat unbuttoned, badge clipped. Moving with urgency, not panic. Each step deliberate. The officers straightened instinctively. Monica blinked once. Slow. General Traylor, Brigham called, voice projecting. You all right? I'm not harmed, she said calmly. But I've been detained without cause. Brigham turned to the deputies. I'm going to need those cuffs off now. They didn't react. I said now. This is already worse than it should have been. The tall one moved like he wanted to argue, then didn't. Awkwardly, he unlocked the cuffs. The steel clicked free. Monica brought her hands forward, rubbing the skin where the pressure had lived. No bruises. But not all pain leaves marks. Do you have ID? The tall one asked Brigham, desperate to recover ground. Brigham turned slowly, like he wasn't used to being questioned by locals. You think the Pentagon sends people without credentials? He handed over a slim leather case. Inside, federal clearance. The kind that speaks without explanation. I want every second of body cam footage preserved. Brigham said, and I strongly advise against tampering with it. The shorter officer finally said it. The word neither wanted to admit. We made a mistake. No, Monica corrected. You made a choice. Let's not sugarcoat it. Brigham looked from her to the growing crowd. Phones were still out. 6, maybe more. You might want to contact your chain of command. He said flatly, because this is already way above your pay grade. But fallout hadn't landed yet. That weight was still coming. Not with sirens. Not with chaos. Something colder. Sharper. More controlled. 20 minutes after Brigham arrived, 3 black SUVs entered the quick fuel lot. Not speeding. Not squealing tires. Just smooth, synchronized arrival. Doors opened in unison. Men and women in suits stepped out. Not shouting, but moving like a coordinated strike. The crowd that had once been frozen now stepped back instinctively. Phones dipped slightly, but never stopped recording, because everyone could feel it. Something had shifted, and everyone felt it. One agent approached Brigham, whispered something brief, then turned to Monica. "Ma'am, we'll debrief you off-site. You can ride with me." Monica gave a single nod. "I'll wait. I want to see how this ends, right here." She wasn't leaving until the ones who cuffed her had to face it, in front of the crowd who'd watched it unfold. The taller cop, Pete, looked drained now, not from heat, but from the weight suddenly lifted off him. A burden he didn't know how to replace. A woman emerged from one of the SUVs. Badge clipped, sharp gaze locked in. "Office of Military Legal Affairs. Which of you initiated the stop?" Her voice cut like steel. Both paused. The shorter deputy cleared his throat. "We got a call, from the store clerk. Said someone in uniform was making threats." She turned toward the gas station. The clerk, who had been hovering behind the glass, ducked out of view. An agent split off, entering the store with a notepad and voice recorder. Brigham crossed his arms, voice even and calm, but firm. "You realize what you've done, don't you? You detained a decorated officer in full dress uniform. Without cause, ignoring federal ID, and escalating the situation. Now you're going to get the kind of attention you're not equipped to manage." "I didn't know she was," the shorter cop began. "She told you," Monica said, her voice steady. "You looked me in the face and called me a liar." The tall cop finally spoke. "We were responding to a threat. We didn't have the full picture." "You did," Monica said flatly. "The moment I presented ID, you knew. You just didn't want to believe it. That's the difference. That's what matters." No voices were raised, but the tension crackled around them. Inside, the clerk, now flushed and stammering, faced the agent's quiet questions. "I didn't mean it that way," he said nervously. "I just thought. You don't see many folks out here in full military gear." She looked serious. "You said she was aggressive," the agent replied, not blinking. "What exactly did she do?" The clerk's voice dropped. "She looked straight at me." Outside, Monica stepped forward, tugging her sleeves back down, recentering the creases in her uniform like she was sliding back into armor. "I've worn this uniform longer than some of you have held a job," she said. "Not once did I think it would be the reason I'd be seen as a threat. In my own country. But that's what happened. Because for people like me, even when we serve, we still get questioned." No one in the suits responded. They didn't need to. They weren't there to debate. They were there to clean up the fallout. One agent turned toward the deputies. "You're both relieved of field duty. Effective immediately. Your superiors will be in touch. Your body cams have been secured." Pete opened his mouth to respond, then stopped. The shorter cop didn't say a word. Just stood there, red-faced and silent. But silence doesn't undo damage. And what had been caught on camera couldn't be erased in private. 2 days later, Culpeper County was everywhere. National news, morning shows, late-night monologues. Clips of the gas station incident looped across timelines, accompanied by disbelief, anger, and long-overdue conversations. Some viewers were stunned. Others weren't surprised at all. Monica Traylor was no longer anonymous. She was now the general they handcuffed. The sheriff's office issued a 2-line statement. We are reviewing the incident involving Brigadier General Traylor, and are cooperating with federal authorities. No apology. No ownership. But the process didn't wait on permission. The Pentagon had already circulated transcripts. Body cam footage was archived, and the faces of the two deputies were now digital exhibits, picked apart frame by frame. Devin Marks, the 19-year-old clerk, was interviewed the next day on local TV. He wore a mismatched suit jacket and sat under buzzing lights. "I didn't think it'd go that far," he said, fidgeting. She looked intimidating. "I didn't recognize the uniform." When asked what made her intimidating, he stumbled. "Her presence, her posture. I panicked." The news anchor let him speak, but the audience heard what he didn't say. Back at the Pentagon, Monica sat with legal counsel. Her statement measured, emotionless, exact. Someone offered coffee. She declined. Brigham sat nearby, quiet. He knew her well enough not to offer pity. "What do you want us to do, General?" one advisor asked. She looked him straight in the eye. "I don't want anyone fired just to make a headline. I want the truth on record, the procedures fixed. And I want those two never wearing badges again. That's it." "They're already on leave," he said. "That's not justice," she replied. "That's just paperwork." He nodded, jotting notes. Later that week, one of the officers resigned. The other was suspended indefinitely. The sheriff didn't object. Not openly, not with D.C. watching. But the resignations weren't the point. The messages were. Hundreds of them. Letters, emails, voicemails. From active duty members, retired vets, women who had worn the uniform, and recognized that look she had in the lot. That tightrope between rage and control. Teenagers messaged too. They had seen the footage, couldn't unsee it. How she stood still as the cuffs clicked shut. One letter stood out. Handwritten, tucked into an envelope from Topeka, Kansas. "General Traylor, I saw you stand there without flinching. My mom showed me the video. She said, 'See? This is why I always tell you to carry yourself with purpose. Because people will still doubt you, even when you do everything right. I'm 13. I just wanted to say I'm proud of you, even if we've never met.'" She read that letter 3 times, because sometimes words from strangers cut deeper than silence from peers. When a local paper asked if she planned to press charges, she said no. Not because she didn't have the right, but because she had something stronger: visibility. When you make the system look at its reflection, the cracks show, and once people see them, they don't disappear. The gas station changed management within a month. The clerk vanished from social media. The sheriff's office enforced new rules. No more patrols without body cams. No more anonymous tips without proof. No more excuses. It wasn't a clean ending. It rarely is. But it left a mark. And marks linger longer than headlines. But what she said next stopped people mid-scroll. Because this wasn't just about justice. It was about the price of it. 3 weeks after the incident, Brigadier General Monica Traylor stood behind a plain wooden podium in a small community center in Alexandria, Virginia. No banners, no flags, just folding chairs, a few reporters, and neighbors who came to hear the woman who had been, for a moment, both overlooked and unforgettable. She hadn't planned on speaking, but after the coverage, the mail, the headlines calling her a symbol of grace or too calm to be believable, she chose to speak. No press team, no script, just her own voice. She wore civilian clothes, a simple navy blouse, gray slacks, no medals, no stars, just herself. The room was still as she adjusted the mic. "I'm not here to rehash what happened," she began. "You've seen the videos. Read the articles. You don't need me to narrate it again." She paused, eyes scanning the room. Some leaned forward. Others folded their arms. Phones were already recording. I'm here because what's bothered me most wasn't what happened that day, but what people said afterward. A breath. Some asked, why didn't she yell? Others said, why didn't she resist? But the one I can't stop hearing is, if that had been me, I wouldn't have stayed so calm. She placed her hands on the podium. You think calm is a choice? You think standing in cuffs, in uniform, with strangers watching and cops not listening, you think that's a moment full of options? Her voice didn't rise, but her words landed like stone. Calm is what kept me alive. Calm is the only reason I'm standing here now. I wasn't calm because I felt safe. I was calm because I didn't. In the front row, a woman in a tan coat nodded slowly. Monica continued, there's a belief out there that wearing this uniform grants you respect, that if you've earned your rank, you've earned protection. But not all of us get treated that way. Not me. A man at the back raised his hand. She pointed to him. General Traylor, do you think what happened was about race? She didn't flinch. I think it was about assumption. And assumption wears layers. Skin, gender, tone, stance, all of it. Those officers didn't stop me because they were curious. They stopped me because they didn't think someone like me could be wearing this uniform. Silence followed. No scribbles. No shifts. Just stillness. You want to know the hardest part? She said, voice steady. It wasn't the cuffs. Wasn't the cameras. It was standing there, knowing that if I had raised my voice, even one note, if I twitched wrong, moved too fast, I might not be here now. She let that truth hang. You want change? Then start with better questions. Not, why didn't she yell? Ask, why didn't anyone else speak up? Not, how did she stay calm? Ask, why did calm have to be her armor? She stepped back slightly. I've served on 2 continents, briefed presidents, buried soldiers under my command. But none of that mattered. In a parking lot 20 minutes from my home. Because what they saw wasn't my resume. Then she looked directly into one of the phones filming. So if you're watching this, if you believe in fairness, justice, respect, ask yourself, would any of that have protected you that day? Is la réponse est non. Alors peut-être que nous devons arrêter de prétendre que le système protège tout le monde de la même manière. Then she stepped fully away from the podium. No applause. Just silence. But not the empty kind. The heavy kind. The kind truth leaves behind. Outside, kids rode bikes past the building. A car alarm chirped in the distance. The world went on. But those who heard her, in that room or through a phone screen, didn't walk away untouched. Because her story wasn't just a headline. It was a warning, a lesson. And if it made you pause, even for a moment, don't stop there. Share it. Speak it. Teach it to someone younger. Someone older. Someone who still believes this could never happen. Because the only thing more dangerous than injustice is silence.